Since I've had some questions about how the rubrics are going to be used to assign your grades, I wanted to talk to you briefly about how that's going to be done, and then you can follow up with questions based on this discussion. So you'll notice the major difference between the rubrics that are used in this course and rubrics that we've used in previous courses are the possible scores. Now, on these rubrics, your scores can be anywhere from 0 to 5. In previous courses, it depended on how many points the assignment was worth, but let's just say it was a 100-point assignment. Your indicator met range was always an A range. So on a 100-point assignment, it would have been 90 to 100. Your indicator partially met was a B range, 80 to 89, and your indicator not met was anywhere from an F to a C, and on a 100-point assignment, that would have been a 0 to a 79. On the new rubrics, or the rubrics that I'm using in this course, a 5.0 is an A range. A 4.0 is a B range, and a 0 is actually, this is the one area that you have, it's a 0 to a 3.5, and that would be, it could be anywhere from an F to a C. So the indicators, the ranges for the indicators are the same, it's just the score that looks a little different. And the reason that I've done this is because I wanted to take the focus away from the numeric grade and have you focus on performance and whether you were making progress towards the expectations, the learning objectives, those things. So I wanted you to focus more on the indicator quality instead of the quantity that was assigned to it. So, looking at indicator met, the things listed under indicator met are what you would need to be able to do or have for this to be considered an A paper or an A project. An A would indicate that this is exemplary, that you have a thorough understanding of the content, that you have thoroughly, completely met the objectives, that I feel comfortable that you have a deep understanding of the information that was presented and that you are able to take that information and apply it to your setting. So that's where an indicator met is awarded. And it would be a holistic approach. I know it's divided out, like in this case, into leadership content, design and enhancements, and then professionalism, but it's really that I'm looking at those as a whole. So if I feel like you have a thorough grasp of this information, then, and that you have had exemplary performance, then it becomes an A. It's also trying to remove the bias of trying to look at, well, is this, does this deserve a 99 or does this deserve a 93? And what really separates a 93 from a 99? I think the focus should be, instead, do you have a deep understanding of the content? And if you do, then you've displayed that, then you have earned an exemplary score, and that would be a 5, which would be an A, which would equal out in the grade book. It'll be a 5, but it'll show up as a percentage also, and so it would show up as a 100%. If you scored in the 4.0 range, this is considered accomplished. This is a B range. This indicates that you have, that you're ready to advance, that you may have some areas that you could improve upon, but overall, you have an understanding of the content, you're able to apply it, your understanding will not impede you from performing well on future objectives that are related to this particular content. And so that is where you would score a 4.0, which is a B. That does equal out to an 80%. And that's what would go into the grade book. A 4.0 would be an 80%. And again, I look at it holistically. Of course, the majority of what I'm looking at is content because that is directly related to the objectives for that particular assignment. But it's also important for this assignment in particular that you are able to have, that your formatting isn't distracting and those sorts of things, because that's part of what you learn to do and you should be able to do as a professional in this program. And then professionalism, because you are a researcher, so APA is important and all of that, but the content is the main focus and it's looked at holistically. And then indicator not met. Now again, this is where you do have a bit of a range. It can go anywhere from beginning, which would be an F, that you have beginning understanding, or to developing understanding, which is a C. But in graduate level work, a C is still considered that you are not meeting all of the required standards and that you should not advance. That's what a C would indicate. And so if you fall within the range, anywhere from that 0 to 3.5, the indicator is not met, that you still have work to do before you could, or you should be able to move on to the next topic. Now, you'll notice that you are provided with an opportunity to revise your submission. And this is where those differences in grades will fall out. So for those that got a 5.0 and you receive feedback, you have a 100%. You take the feedback, you internalize it. That doesn't mean that your assignment was perfect, but that you definitely have exhibited exemplary understanding of the content and that I'm comfortable with you moving on to the next topic. Excuse me. And so there would be no resubmission, no need for resubmission. Because, I mean, if you had questions about it, you could talk to me about it. We could discuss that, but there would be no need for resubmission as far as a grade-wise. If you received below a 5.0, so if you received a 4.0 and that equated to an 80% and your feedback you felt like you could improve upon, then you have the opportunity to revise your submission based upon the feedback that's been given to you. We can have discussions about where maybe you were showing adequate understanding, but that you needed a more in-depth understanding to really be more successful. And we can have those discussions, but that you'll be given feedback on that, and you will be given the opportunity, if you would like to get a better grade, if that's your focus, then you can do that and could improve upon your grade if your resubmission warrants that. You will not be able to get a 5.0, but that's not to say that you can't get an A. Okay, so here's where percentages come in. So for example, if you made a 4.0 on the original and you wanted to resubmit, and you resubmitted and you were then, all of your modifications indicated exemplary performance, then I would award you maybe a 4.5, which is an A, and that gets you in the A range. And so it's going to be based upon your resubmissions and that your resubmissions all meeting the indicator met. And the same thing for if you scored within the C or F range. Then those, depending on what your resubmission looks like, could move up, but not move up to a 5.0. It could move up within an A range, but not a 100% range. I know that is where it becomes a little bit gray. honestly, when I have done this in the past, students tend to perform at the 4.0, 5.0 range, because you're taking your focus away from the, am I going to get an 85%, or why didn't that warrant a 93%? Your focus becomes more on the understanding of the content. And I've done this in a previous course and it was very successful, as opposed to just you having the one submission chance, and that being your final grade. So I'm not sure if that explains exactly what I've been asked. I think that if you look at it, if you did a 5 out of 5, you would see that it equals out to 100%. A 4 out of 5 equals out to an 80%. 3.5 out of 5 is a 70%. So I think maybe that was the question that was being asked. I'm not sure. The only, not negative, but not 100% positive feedback, I guess, that I've ever gotten on this is that it doesn't provide for a range of grades for students. And that's what a couple of students have indicated, which I understand. But I want you to also understand that your grade in the course really doesn't provide for a range of grades either. That when I submit course grades, I don't get to submit a 93 or a 99. I submit an A, B, C, or F. Those are my choices for submission. And so I know some have also indicated, well, I'm worried, what if I do, if I make a 5.0 on one assignment and then I make a 4.0 on another assignment, well, then that's going to average out to, well, that still averages out to an A, depending on how much that particular assignment was worth, because we do have some assignments that are worth, 20% of your grade, some that may be worth 25% of your grade. So it still falls into averages of assignment grades, but you have the opportunity to do better on it if you're not pleased with the numeric grade that you received, whereas you weren't provided that opportunity previously. So I have to say, honestly, that the course grades, when I've used this, have been better than when I have to determine whether that was an 88 or a 90. The other thing is, anytime when it averages out to something close, so for example, if you had an 89.4 in a class, I do round up, because I think that, there could have been a grading error, there could have been something there that warrants you having an A over an 89.4. So do know that I have your best interest in mind when I'm grading. I really do consider that, but it's all based on an A is exemplary performance. A B is accomplished. It's still a very good thing. It's a very good grade. A C is you're developing, but that you still have work, and anything below a C indicates that you're just in your beginning understanding. Okay, so hopefully that got a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. Hopefully that helps explain a little bit. It may prompt more questions, which is great. If it does, let me know. Ask questions. I'll be happy to answer those. If we need to have a session one-on-one or as a group to discuss this so that I can hear what you're thinking and then address that directly, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. Just keep in mind that that I'm doing this to try to help you perform better, in a sense that your understanding is shown, that you're provided the opportunities to succeed more than once, and that you have the opportunity to grow, and that you take your focus off those numbers. And so hopefully this will do that. Okay, let me know what questions you have.